Alright, welcome back to part 2 of chapter 1, and in this one we're going to show the difference between rotating the axes and using a construction guideline to draw a line. I think all of you guys have enough drafting experience to know what a guideline is, but if not, I'll show you what it is. So in Sketchup, if you hit T, it'll bring up your tape measure. This is where, if you need a construction guideline, if you click on this red axis and you drag it, I'm going to hit the up arrow to force it in the up direction. I'm going to let go of the mouse button and now type in 25 and hit enter. And it's going to put a line 25 units, whatever we are, feet, centimeters, millimeters, meters, above. And that way I can get an intersection point right here, draw there. If you want it to actually stay on the line, if you just drag down like that, so I like putting them on my lines. Whoops. That way I can always have something to snap to. So right here the X shows intersection, and then you can draw a line. So now the other thing is, if I use the protractor tool on the left hand side right here, protractor, if I click on this point, notice that the protractor goes green, blue, and right arrow can force up the red. So let's go with blue and see what happens. If I run along this point, right here, this is going to be our starting point, we can drag, but notice it's on that bottom plane. That's not what we want, so I'm going to hit the left arrow to go green, and I'm going to run along here. This is my starting point, this is where horizontal is, and now I can rotate. So I can either click it there, and that will set it to 45, or I can type in, I'm going to just type in 30, and it will automatically set it, and then we can draw from here to here. So it works great in that way. So I'm going to use the eraser tool. I'm just going to erase everything. If you want to get rid of all your guides, just go to Edit, Delete Guides. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to rotate these axes. First, let's draw a 25, 25 square. Now, I'm going to get the protractor, and right here, I'll click here and here, and I'm going to go 45 degrees. Okay. This way, I'm going to hit L, and I'm going to run it out 60 meters. So that makes it 45 off of this point. Now if I want to make this one off of this point, but parallel, if I hover along this line just for a second and then bring it back, okay, whoops, hover along here and then bring it back, as soon as it goes magenta, you can either hit the down arrow key to lock the current inference or hold shift. I'm just going to hit down arrow because it's easier. Then I'm going to bring my cursor to right here to match it exactly up. And there we go. So we have that shape. But let's try it a different way. So I'm just going to Control Z to this point. I'm going to hover my mouse over the red axis. I'm going to hit right click. I'm going to hit move. And right here in the blue, in the Z, I'm just going to type in, I'm going to move it 45 degrees. Like we're looking down and we're going to just move everything 45. Okay? Now my axis goes straight through here, and the reason why this makes it convenient is because if I click here, I can run it just right along that point, type in 60, and we're good. Come over here, hit escape to let go of that point, click here, and notice when you get up close to it, you'll see that green line appear and the two dots show. That means we're right constrained to that point. And there we go. Same part. So, two different ways to accomplish the same thing. So I'm going to go ahead and just do this, and then I'm going to right click on this and hit reset. Puts everything back to its default. Now what if there's a way, instead of always moving this, too bad there isn't a way to just click a button and make it do it. There actually is. I'm going to show you how to do this by using something called scenes. Now in your tray on the right hand side, there's going to be something down here, might be positioned differently, but it's going to be called scenes. Now if you don't have it, remember, go up to Window, default tray, make sure scenes and outliner. So scenes and outliner are checked. Okay, outliner is amazing. I love it. So go to scenes, and we're going to click the down arrow to expand it. And what we're going to do is we're going to hit add scene. Down here in the name, we're just going to put 0, 0, and then hit enter. Okay, then we're going to add another scene, and this one's going to be called 45, and then enter. Okay, so on this scene, we're going to right click and hit update. No, we're not going to do that. Let's position this kind of how we want it, just like that. I'm going to right click and hit update scene. Notice all these: camera location, hidden geometry, visible layers, all this, and axis location. So we're going to take advantage of this one right here. So we're going to hit update. Okay, now we're going to click on the 45 one. Notice nothing has changed. But we're going to right click on the red and hit move, and we're going to type in 45. We're going to hit OK. Then we're going to right click and hit update scene. Okay, so now if you even look at the picture, notice how they're different. Up in the top left corner, we have two different tabs. 0, 0, you click that. Oh, look, back to normal. 45. And no matter what one you choose, let's say the 45, I'm going to click here. The line tool, just run it along there. Remember, the left arrow forces it. No, it doesn't. The right arrow forces it. And if you don't want to use the arrow key, if you click here and if you see that it's on the red axis, you can hit down to constrain it. I guess not. Down only works with magenta, but if you hold shift, it'll constrain it to that. So I'm just going to click there. Okay, now if we hit 0, our line's still there. Any model, any part, or anything we add to the model, geometry I should say, is going to stay. So that is very handy to be able to do. So this comes in handy when you want to build the base of a building with some interesting geometry, and you really don't want to use the protractor to set up a guideline. This is one way you can always do it. So just kind of a fun little handy tip there. Next, let's talk about extensions. You'll notice all these things on here that I have, you don't have. These are called extensions. They're extra little things that people have programmed using the native tools, the basic stuff that Sketchup can do. They've just automated it. So, for example, I don't know a good one to show you right now. I really don't. Yes, I do. Do I still have it on here? Yes, I do. Okay, let's turn this into a 3D object right there. If I click on right here, this Fredo corner, I'm going to hit round. Oh, never mind. Mine's expired. I need to update it. Anyways, what you can do with this is click on an edge and it will round it for you. So that's an extension. But how do you find these extensions? If you go to Window and Extension Warehouse, this is one place to find them. You can search in here. The first one I recommend is Export STL. Just type it in and hit search or enter, either one, and it will go through them. You'll want this one called Sketchup STL. You're going to click it, and it's going to say download, and you're going to click that and then install it. It will install automatically for you, and it's amazing. This is what you use to export all your files to STLs for 3D printing or any other type of CNC equipment. The other one that is definitely the most important in my opinion is called Solid Inspector Squared. Okay, what this does is tell you if you have any holes in your mesh, and I'm going to go a little bit more into this later on. So you'll want this one, and if yours does bring it up, this Eneroth Solid Tools, notice it's for Pro only, you'll want to install that. and I'll talk about these extensively in the upcoming videos. So those 3 extensions. Now what if you want some of these other extensions, like this one and this one and this one? They're not listed in the extension warehouse. Well, you'll have to go to another place called Sketchucation, and you can find the Fredo corner, and you can find all these other ones. So anyway, that is where your extensions, if you go to extensions and window and extension manager, it'll bring up which ones are installed. If you go down Fredo corner, it's enabled, but I'm probably going to have to update it, which it said I'm going to need to do. Another one that's cool is that I like to make my threads. I gotta find it. It's the Shapes tool, and it's done by the Sketchup team. This one is really nice to make threads with, and I'll show how to make threads based off of that one. So, okay, so that's how you make these scenes. Scenes are very important. We'll use those later on for paper space, because basically you're going to take a picture and then import that picture into layout to make a working drawing. So anyways, thank you for watching this one. The next video we're actually going to get into modeling our first solid part, so stay tuned.